Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your man, Khalif Wins, Making Better Tracks, Episode 3. This is a great track. I'm here with the great guest, Civil Days Music. I'm here with the great guest, Dccarsonmusic. We are live and direct. Listen, if you see mess-ups, if you see situations going on, you want blunt and raw honesty, you'll get it from Civil Days Music and Dccarsonmusic. Follow him now. Information in the description. Here's the topic of the day. Why are some, not all artists allergic to buying beats? Let's get to the topic at hand. Producers, hear how some, not all artists feel about your beats. He says, me recording on YouTube beats, putting the song on every platform and not paying them. That's the attitude of some, not all artists. This guy says, I steal beats. Here's my genius 3-step process. Find a fire YouTube beat, convert the video to an MP3 file for free, record a banger. Beats are too expensive according to this artist. Free for profit, producers are the wave. I ain't paying for a beat till it blow. They tweaking. Another artist says, no cap. This is how some, not all artists feels about producers hard work in their beats. This guy says, I don't pay for beats. I just steal them and hope I won't get sued when I blow up. Another artist says, facts. An artist says, after 10 years, I finally started leasing. Ha, ha, ha. Some artists think it's funny. Producers, listen up. This is not all artists. This is some. It's for a small population. Let's go. Hey, the day they sue me, I'ma retire. They ain't catching my ass. We releasing on all platforms too. Wow. Can't you just pay for it after the song is out and it blows up? No, the artist says, I hope so. That's the plan. Well, that's what I plan on doing. All they do is press buttons anyway. Get that bag, bro. This guy says, on God, anything made in a computer isn't real music anyway. That's what I'm saying. Producers, do you hear this? There's a population of artists that feel this way. Let's continue. Another artist says, I'ma keep doing it. This producer says, that's an L. It ain't cool, homie. Another artist says, same. At least that means they like your beat. This is the mentality of some artists. Some guy with a no profile pic, you know what that means. Just don't pay him. If the song doesn't blow up on Spotify, no one knows anyway. And if it does, just pay them then. I don't, you know the rest. So another artist says, I was about to do the same stuff. Artist says, rappers steal beats because they're broke. He says, it's the grind. This guy said, you stole a beat from a producer and a song now has millions of views. Artist says, me, if selling beats on YouTube was illegal. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Guys, before we even get into the topic, I know it sounds heavy. I know it sounds like, wow, are you serious? I want all artists watching this just so I can put this out there so you to understand. This debate has been going on the internet for 15 years, and we are not trying to waste people's time with old thinking, repeating the same thing over and over again. I don't believe in wasting time. That's the number one thing I'm going to say. Number two, this isn't all artists, producers. This is a small population of artists that have a narrative as if our beats don't have value. This discussion is an important one for producers as well as artists, and this conversation will not be an artist versus producers conversation. It's going to be how both artists and producers come to an understanding when it comes to a business relationship. I just want to put out there before I get to the conversation and bring up the guests, because I know they have input and I want to talk to them to see how their week's gone since the last show. Number one, there are different kind of producers who have different kind of goals with their beats. Let's just start there. This is not conversation is for all producers. There's producers who only want to sell their beats online and not be in the music industry. They want to say, hey, this is my viable business and service. I'm not trying to be famous. I'm trying to sell beats. Two, there's another type of producer. These are the producers whose goals are to be in the music business. So sending free beat packs to hundreds of artists is a way that they feel they can get their foot in the door. And to be honest, everything has a strategy, but there's different type of producers who have different goals. If the goal of free beats doesn't work for you, this isn't a no free beats conversation. But there are producers that say, you know what, I'm going to send beat packs every week. I'm going to handle my business that way. And that has gotten a lot of producers in position to get huge major placements. Third type of producer. Maybe you're a hobbyist producer. You like selling beats. This is not your forte. You don't want to do a business. You just love the art of selling beats. And lastly, then there's the unrealistic producers who aren't even clearing their production goals. So let me put this out there. There are 4 types of producers. One, a producer who only wants to sell beats and utilize it as an online service and not be famous to be in the music industry. It's an even exchange. Here's the lease, here's the exclusive, peace, and I'm out. Second type of producer, a producer who does have music industry goals and sending free beats and things of that nature are a great method for a lot of producers to get into the door and get placements. Third, hobbyist producers. And fourth, unrealistic producers who have no aim. They want to do this or that, but they never do it. Either way, the first question every producer needs to ask themselves, what are your goals as a producer? What is your action plan to get to that goal? And what is going to be your work ethic doing so? So I know it sounds like a quick bang off the top, pause, you know what I'm saying? But the conversation needs to be had. But before we get to the conversation, fellas, how are you doing?
I'm doing good on my end. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. Doing good, living life, I think at one point, some of us have all been, that type of producer. But before I get into it, we'll let DC, talk about himself, see how he's doing.
Hey, what's up, fellas? Everything is, I'm DC Carson of Dccarsonmusic. You can see that on IG as well as Facebook. YouTube is under construction. So appreciate the follow in those platforms and YouTube to come. Everything is fine. Finally got this thing painted. Finally finished the paint job. I was up there like 10:30 at night saying, I gotta have this done because I'm missing making the music. So everything is going fine, good. Looking forward to some March Madness as well as this awesome conversation. Frank, you?
Listen, you talk about sports. My sport is UFC. Don't like basketball, never did. Didn't like football, never did. I only like combat sports because in Brooklyn, we grew up slap boxing. And watching combat sports helped us guys who like to make beats and DJs just practice on our friends, you know what I'm saying, and get our skills up. Because in Brooklyn in the 90s, you had to have hand skills. If you know, you know. You know what I'm saying? So I only like combat sports. A big UFC weekend, Kamaru Usman versus Leon Edwards 3. Leon took the belt from Kamaru, all the UFC fans, if you know, and it's a huge deal. And Justin Gaethje versus Fiziev, which is going to be a banger of a fight. I'm a big UFC fan because everybody in my house and in my building, because I live in an apartment building in New York, you know how New York is, and part of the glitches in this Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is not trying to be a friend right now, but as long as you can hear me, that's all that matters. Everybody in my building hears me scream till like 2 o'clock in the morning when it's UFC weekend. So it's going to be a hectic weekend on my side. Production-wise, I'm resetting up my MPCX and I'm taking my gear seriously and moving it out the dust log. I'm officially selling my MPC key. I'm officially offloading a lot of gear. Got a kid coming in 6.5 weeks. It's not a game. Got to make room. And I believe when you sell old gear that you're not using, even though you want to collect it, my ethos might not be everybody else's. You clear the way for new opportunities and to get your headspace clear. There's a lot of stuff in the house I got to let go. Sound like a lot, but yeah, that's what's on my mind.
Yeah, I didn't like promote myself or anything like that, y'all. Civil Days Music. Y'all can check me out on TikTok. I got the series, things you didn't know about, music, things like that. You can also find it on YouTube. I have the MPC Live 2 beat making videos. I'm a music producer. You can check me out there on Gumroad, Civil Days Music, or cdmesd.com. Just trying to teach people about music, give them some of my tips. And build a community as well, us music producers sharing information and growing to the next level. That's
and I let me be honest. Everybody that's watching this, we're going to get into the topic. Today's episode of Making Better Tracks, episode 3, is why are some artists allergic to buying beats, and we're going to get to that. But these two are underplaying themselves. I'm not having it. I'm not. Like, number one, the only reason that it's a pleasure to have these two gentlemen on my show is literally, and I'm telling you guys, we as content creators need to work together because everybody has a community. DC is downplaying himself. Dccarsonmusic is a great musician, has years in the music business, has great tour stories on his page and things like the nature that he's going to be uploading. He has great content, more than music production content. He has great content for people to step their game up in life. He's downplaying himself. He's trying to say his stuff real quick on IG on this. Yes, he is on IG and he's on Facebook. The link is in the description. He has YouTube videos dropping. But this brother has value, especially for music producers out there. You want some life strategies. He's a military man, a military veteran that has these great ways of putting production information and military strategy so we can be better producers. And he has a production headspace brand. A lot of producers, they make beats. They put beat play videos, they do this with their beats and things of that nature. And that said, no, Dccarsonmusic has a great combination of, hey, let's focus on our headspace to be better producers, military strategies combined with that, and also grown man talk, relationship talk, but then he's a musician, he has cover songs. Now let's get to Civil Days music. Again, y'all thought I was just trying to be nice and be complimentary, and I was just trying to be like, oh my God, he's the, no. I discovered his page as being a fan, responded to his videos, and I'm like, this is fire. And it's an honor for me to have him as a guest or even know him like that. You know what I'm saying? Because he has Machine Plus videos, NPC videos. He has a series, and here's the kicker. He has more series. And ladies and gentlemen who produce, it's not the regular boring series where somebody is just talking, giving their overt opinion. It's actually as if you're sitting next to him in the studio and his content is of value. So again, these are 3 brands coming together to have great discussions about production that we wish we saw more in the internet space. 2 other producers. Don't sleep. This ain't Joe Schmo DC or Joe Schmo Civil. These are 2 different brands that have great catalog and great information to share to producers. So please, when you finish watching the show, go to their pages and trust me, you'll see that I'm not capping. Everybody follow me so far? I ain't gonna sit here and let them downplay themselves. That's just, they ain't downplay it, but I'm gonna sell it better. I'm just gonna be honest. You know what I'm saying? But again, I'm a fan of these 2, not because I'm D-riding or riding the wave. Trust me, follow their brands. You'll see what I'm talking about. You'll be like, yeah, wow, this is facts. All right, let's get to the mission at hand. How do you feel about that small percentage of artists that feel that way when it comes to production or producers or the value of producers' beats? Before I run back the slide so we can discuss it. Fellas, tell me how you feel about what you saw so far.
To me,
it's confirmation. Oh no, go ahead, DC.
No. Daysun, I relinquish the throne to you.
What? I relinquished the throne.
Yo, to me, it is confirmation. People don't want to pay no money. People, everybody wants everything for free. Let's think about it. And you've heard this over and over and over and over again. A lot of the things that we have, a lot of the content that we make, a lot of the, devices that we have cost a lot of money. We put our time and effort into this. It's like a painter. When a painter buys all the supplies and they make this work of art, if they can get it into the museum, they can get a lot of money. When it comes down to this, people want your hard time working art, and they want it for free. Like when you think about photography, a photographer has to charge for his resources. He has to charge for his time. He has to charge for the different shots. He has to charge for developing everything. And then he gives you the fee. He or she, gives you the fee for that. But it seems like with this, everybody just wants, not everybody, but a good majority of people want it for free. I hear so many bad stories. I was about to say sob stories, but so many bad stories about producers that made beats and didn't get paid any money, or they got paid little to nothing. I'm going to talk about the other side where you hear about some producers who didn't care about how much they made. They would sell beats for $25, $50, and they just churned out beats until they got it, until they got to a certain point where they could charge more, and they got themselves out of there. But it's a lot with this grind, and a lot of people want a lot of things for free, and nothing is free. I don't care what you say. Nothing in life is free. You can go to DC.
Appreciate that, bro, and I agree with that. The thing I would say, it's a scarcity mindset. It is that, I don't have, so I won't invest. And really, if you think about it, I'm getting into headspace stuff, it's that you're not really, you have to think, are you really investing in yourself when you have to take somebody else's intellectual property in order to build yours? And so you got to think about that there is a seed that you're sowing in yourself when you do that. The other thing, let's go over to the legal side. I'm going to tell you right now, if that's your strategy where you think I'm just going to get this beat and then turn around and pay later, let me tell you something. Do you not realize is that they're not going to just split what you earn. They're going to go after punitive damages. So if that producer can prove that you had damages, let's say for a beat, they was about to sell it to a major artist and you stole it, then you can wind up having your wages garnished for like the rest of your life. I'll give you a quick story. Arrested Development came out. We all heard the song Tennessee. They did a song and it went all the way up to number 3 or something like that. And then when when they dropped it, they got a call from Prince's attorneys, basically, hey, we coming to get that money. Well, what it was, Tennessee there's a song called what was that? Alphabet Street. That's the name of it. And they got a song, just that one word. And he sued him, and I think they got $100,000. Prince got $100,000 worth, somewhere around that. And the guy was sitting there saying, I forget what his name is, but he was sitting there saying, I can't believe he came out. He said, but he actually did me a favor because they could have made me take the album out and we got nothing from it. Yeah. So that $100,000 was a favor. So I'm trying to sit here and say, y'all don't realize they can make you take it off. They can take all your money. The same thing kind of happened with Robin Thicke with, what's that song that he had with Pharrell? I forget.
Blurred Lines.
Right. Marvin Gaye's estate waited till that song got huge and then came back and said, because it was similar to Keep On Dancing. And they had to settle, sued him, Robin Thicke, T.I., Pharrell, all of that kind of stuff. So that's kind of what I'm sitting up here saying to folks is that, listen, if you have if that is your business strategy to wait until you blow up and then pay, you're going to pay way more than what you think. It's best to go on and pay that. And really, you're investing in yourself. And my last point is going to say this. Listen, you don't wait to get a job to buy the suit. You buy the suit to get the job. Go ahead and purchase that track. That's kind of what I'm saying is go ahead and purchase the track. It's to your advantage because then you have a confidence that if it does blow up, it's good. And the other thing is producers bring stuff to you that you're not thinking about. And so having another set of ears and eyes and mind on your track is to your advantage. So, but when you're a scarcity mindset, you think you already are kind of saying, well, I'm gonna fail anyway, versus let me invest in me.
Yeah. I like the point. I like the point that you came with. So that was speech from Arrested Development. I saw that interview. Remember when 50 Cent came out with I Get Money and they found out that the guy who was shopping the beats didn't make the beats, but the producer came back out and 50 made sure that the real producer got paid. So, and it's a number of artists that have released songs early and they released them. So Sting got 100%. What's the dude? He passed away a while back. Dang, I forgot his name. But he got Puffy for 100%. Because that song blew up before they even had a chance to make any arrangements. So yeah. So to what you were saying, you can go ahead and take somebody's music, but you're giving someone else the opportunity to sue you in the end if it blows up. And you never know if it's going to blow up.
Do you see why I love having these content creators be on the show? This is value. Producers, follow Civil Days Music. Producers, follow DC Carson Music. And here's another thing, because I'm going to add to this conversation. As producers, this is a great reason. This is one of the reasons I came up with this show and this idea. And by the way, I purposely don't tell them what I'm about to talk about so I can get that fresh response. You know what I'm saying? But that's what I'm talking about. Producers, since there is a certain amount, not all artists, a certain amount of artists who believe this way, why aren't we coming together to have constructive, I repeat, constructive dialogue? Stop arguing about gear, stop arguing about this. If we come together and have constructive dialogue, we can come together with best strategies, because this music business, any business, retail business, music business, any business, is all about relationships. So producers, I'm not creating this video to say, hey, forget the artist. As artists, I want to talk with you. Let's have a show where artists come on and things of that nature, and we can discuss it, because at the end of the day, the music business, in order for anybody to be successful, they need to have relationships. That's number one, and what better way to come together? Number two, this small population of artists that I saw this information from on either YouTube, TikTok, or Reddit, they strongly believe in this, but it's not all artists. But I want to add to this conversation. You guys said a lot of great points. I'll keep it simple and sweet. Number one, producers, and this goes to myself included, or any producer, if we don't have our stuff copyrighted the right way, then we're gonna get robbed, and there's nothing we can do about it. Producers, you know that artists know about the same AI software that we know about the same stem separation software that we know about. And producers, there are other producers, like they mentioned, who actually steal people's beats over BeatStars and Airbit and YouTube. They reframe it and they copyright the beat that you didn't copyright, and they have ownership. Producers, we all need to wake up. It's a different digital ball game. And when we were coming up, there was a different way to go about things. But industry rule number 4080, record companies are shady. It's the nature of the industry to be grimy. All artists aren't grimy. All managers aren't grimy. The entire music industry is not grimy, but it is the industry rule number 4080. Since 1989, this has been set on record. So producers, really think about what we're talking about, but let's have a dialogue. If you have some comments to bring in the bottom, great. Artists, I want to see your comments. Put them in the conversation. We trying to add to the conversation. And here's one thing I'll add. Artists and producers together, y'all both need to realize this. You never know who somebody's going to be or blow up in 5 years. So for any artists or producers, especially if they be like, oh, these 3 old guys, they don't know what we talking about. This 3 old guys. Listen, you never know. Today's janitor is tomorrow's CEO. Now, I'm not calling us janitors. You never know who somebody knows. There's 6 degrees in separation. For every 6 people that we know, somebody knows each other somehow. And reputation, I told my 8-year-old daughter this, your reputation is gold in school. You can't keep on punching people in the face. You know what I'm saying? You can't keep on doing something because your reputation can precede you. I'm not veering off. Let me get to the point. Producers protect your intellectual property. There are many ways. I'll cover some of them here. Producers, know your value. Great. Artists, I know this ain't all y'all, but I know this is a lot of, certain minor artists. And I saw these comments, and I want to bring it to the comments in the section real quick. Let me just bring it back. There's a lot of artists, not a lot of artists. I'm not going to do that. There's a small population of artists who are, and producers, by the way, who are trying to teach people how to steal beats. This ain't all artists. This is some. I saw them on TikTok. I saw some on YouTube and different Reddit and stuff like that. And they have a belief system. What I'm going to do as I go through this slide, I'm not here to be psychotherapists. I want us to react, but see the belief system in some of these artists as to why they do what they do and see no value in producers' work. Think about this. I'm going to go to certain things. Not that. Beats are too expensive. Free for profit produces the wave. We can start there. I'll add my 2 cents. There are a lot of producers that know the game. And for those who don't know, the producers that are watching this that don't know this, producers, we all upload our stuff to Content ID. You're supposed to upload your stuff to YouTube Content ID. What's that? Let me break down the Content ID system so that you guys can most definitely understand this. Let me break this down. Here we go. The YouTube Content ID system. It says, and let me just zoom in on this. YouTube has a Content ID system that you can run your tracks through and information. So I just read this. Content ID is YouTube's automated scalable system that enables the copyright owners to identify YouTube videos that include the content they own. YouTube only grants Content ID to copyright owners who meet specific criteria. As the copyright owner, you provide YouTube with a reference copy of your eligible content. YouTube uses reference to scan uploaded videos for matching content. When a match is found, YouTube applies your preferred policy to monetize, track, or block the video in question. Now, let me bring this down right quick. I'm going to bring this down. This is what I want everybody to realize. We, as producers, we have to protect our content. I've even seen comments and videos where artists and other producers who steal other producers' beats. Because producers, if you know that, like they said earlier about the 50 Cent analogy, there are producers that literally go and steal other producers' beats. They separate the stems out of their loop, take their main look, remake the beat, copyright it, and then the original producer's like, what are you doing? That's my track. But if you ain't got no ownership over your work, then you can't complain. This artist is saying this one thing right here. Beats are too expensive. Here's the thing, artists. For the artists that believe this way, this ain't all artists. For the artists that think that beats are expensive, you know what's expensive? The camera work and editing. You know what's expensive? Buying all the ISRC codes to put on every song you release so that you can have a digital tracking method and have your stuff pop up on Shazam and other sites. You know what's expensive? Setting up your LLC for your own information and setting up your business fees and paying them. You know what's expensive? Paying for promotional marketing courses who can literally start off with upwards of $250,000 if you want your music pumped on radio. The thing is, to artists who believe that beats are too expensive, understand that every part of your music career will be expensive. Let me go through the slides and I'm gonna give everybody's response in the end. Somebody says, I ain't paying for a beat till I blow, they tweaking. That's an ignorance mindset. It's not all artists, it's just artists like that. I don't pay for beats, I just steal them and hope I won't get sued. See that mentality? They ain't catching me. We releasing on all platforms too. This is why producers, as soon as you finish the beat, copyright your beat, upload it to Content ID. Hell, here's a strategy I have for people. If you making beats as a producer, upload your beats through your publishing company and upload it to streaming platforms. As soon as somebody buys the exclusive, great, you have the exclusive, but I have my marker point. There are many different strategies, but we're tackling the mindset of producers who steal beats from producers and artists who like to steal beats from producers. And the last mindset, what are you going to do as a producer seeing that this is part of this ecosystem? This is not all artists, all producers watching this. I do not want to see anti-artist rhetoric in the comments. I want to see producers coming together to provide better strategies, and I want to see a lot more artists talking about the issues and give us your opinion about it. If you have a stance and you have common sense, well, you know, put your information and your logic in there. But it's true, a lot of artists are allergic to buying beats and they think that it's cool, like it won't happen. But go ahead, fellas, I said a lot.
I think that you know, they have to kind of pull back and look at it. Is that at the end of the day, if it was easy, everybody can do it. Mm-hmm. And that they have to kind of look at it. Would you like if somebody stole your flow? Would you like it if somebody stole your likeness? So I hear people saying that, but at the end of the day is, you know, it still goes back into this is a business. And I definitely agree with Frank. You don't know who knows who. So at the end of the day, that guy that you stole that beat from may wind up being the CEO of Arista or something like that later down the line. I think Arista is then Warner Brothers or Sony or something like that. Now, what do you do when you're out there? You got somebody that has the ability to literally crush you and like kill your career, all kind of stuff. And at the end of the day is, you know, whatever they say, there's no honor among thieves. Eventually what you do may wind up coming upon you. You know, you reap what you sow. So I would sit back and say, if that is your strategy, you really probably want to really war game that thing out and say, okay, what is the best case scenario of you? Yeah, you get paid, you blow up whatever it is, you pay somebody whatever it is. What is the worst case scenario? And what is the where you're like totally sued and you don't own nothing and they go after all kind of things? Because I mean, understand when you have assets and resources and you are sued, they can go after almost everything other than, let's say, a retirement pension or Social Security, but most of y'all are not gonna have that. So they can go back after all of your stuff and future things that you get, garnish your wages, garnish your earnings. You don't want that. That's just too much of a risk. And then when you go and begin to start looking for investors, you now have too much of a liability where they're not going to do it. So I'm saying you got to think about all of that kind of stuff.
I agree. I think a lot of us, as far as, and even like kind of shifting it towards content creation, a lot of us have to understand that even though you're creating that video online, there is a timestamp. But it is best to, as Khalif said, make sure that you register your songs with the Library of Congress, get that SR form, complete that, join a PRO, Performing Rights Organization, you know, BMI, ASCAP, CSAC, depending on where you are. Make sure you understand publishing rights. I remember watching the other day podcast with I Am Sight. And they were talking to this one producer, and he made money because he registered his music. But he also registered, I think he also registered his music with Song Trust as well as Sound Exchange. And, you know, he went through DistroKid. He had the song registered, song out, and a lot of people started using it for their videos. So he made like over $40,000 just from people using his music on YouTube. So it's like, you could take his music if you want to, but eventually, if you put that out or put that up somewhere, those organizations are going to find that music, and they're going to, whatever money you think you're going to make, you will end up having to pay it to them. I'll even say this. I made a live video, and in making a live video, I used a sample pack. And in using that sample pack, I got a content strike. And I was like, I wasn't trying to, like, I tell people what I'm using, because I'm promoting the sample pack, and I'm just using the video to help, you know, help the community and say, well, this is a sample pack you should try. When I went back, it was like, you know, it wasn't against me, but it still was a way that these producers are going to get money. If I get monetized, they're going to get a portion of that video or things of that nature. So it's just best to really protect yourself, you know. And so if things like this do happen, you can't stop someone from having this mentality, because regardless, they're going to have this mentality. So it's best to just protect yourself. You have to think like a business, just like you said, DC, because this is a business. So you have to find all avenues to protect your rights, your assets. We all know that licenses, patents, and copyrights are what we use to make a lot of money. For those that work, they get licenses. For those that, you know, want to create a product, you make a patent. And then after so many years, that patent is protected. It protects anybody from trying to copy that work. If you make a product, a gadget, or anything like that. So you got to do the same thing with music. You have to protect your assets. If you protect your assets, it makes it better for you, because regardless, you have to have the mindset that no one owes you anything. You have to have the mindset that it's going to have to be buyer's remorse, or I'll say seller's remorse. Because once you put it up, if someone takes it and you didn't protect yourself, then then it's basically, you know, it's your mistake, it's your error. You know what I mean?
That's your financial butt, basically, is what he's trying to say. And producers, I'm gonna be hard on us. We have to educate ourselves. I'm not some million selling producer. I do not make a living off of selling beats. I'm a content creator who produces. Like Daysun said, it's the mindset. First, you have to get your mindset right when it comes to this. But I'm going to retract to what I said earlier in the show. Number one, producers, which producer are you? That's the first question I got to ask you if you're watching this video. Number one, are you the producer that only wants to sell your beats online and not be in the music industry, and you want to run a legitimate business that way? This conversation is something that'll be beneficial towards you. Or producers, are you the producer that whose goals are to be in the music industry? So sending free sending free beat packs to hundreds of artists weekly is a great strategy to get your foot in the door. However you get this, however you get there, great. This conversation can add value to you. The third producer, maybe you're just a hobbyist producer. This conversation might not be for you. The fourth, then there's the producer who loves making beats, loves making tracks, but they're kind of like don't know where to go. I'll say this to that last set of producers. There is a lot of educational resources that we can use, and artists, there's a lot of information that you can use as well. Let's say you aren't this type of artist. Let's say you want to build a relationship with a producer. There are ways that you can build relationships with producers, and I'll give 5 right now. Number one, artists. If you really like a producer, like I used to be an artist back in the days before the Grays. You know what I'm saying? I used to be an artist, but if I had Instagram back in the days or stuff like that, if I was super in social media like that, this is what I would do. If I like a producer and I like every track that he's releasing, I think it has a great sound. Or if, let's say, I like one track, build your relationship, artists, with producers. That's the number one thing. Artists, build relationships with producers. We're not saying kiss butt. Yes, there's a lot of horrible producers out there who do horrible business, but that is not everybody. I repeat, I've seen some comments when some artists is saying, this one artist says, the reason I stole the beat is because I've been trying to pay for the beat for 9 months for a producer, but he never got back to me in my messages. That's a reality. That's a reality, but that goes back to the producers not having their business in order. Producers, have your link in bio. Have a link in bio that it'll go directly to your beat store, go directly to your website. If you need a better link in bio service, producers, I put it in the description. You get $20 off for joining a pro subscription from Beacons.io. That's in the description. Producers, have your business in order. If you love making beats and you want to sell beats, have your link in bio. But let's get back to artists. Artists, the first way is to build relationships with producers. Second way, there's a lot of producers out there who have YouTube channels like Civil Days Music, like Dccarsonmusic. There's educational resources out there to help you build those relationships and help you understand and produce some more. Please follow both of their channels now. Link in description for Civil Days Music as well as Dccarsonmusic. There's also great producers that you can follow their YouTube channels who I like. I love DJ Payne 1. I think DJ Payne 1's YouTube page is the best page for artists to really understand the mindset of a producer and then really how to build better relationships with producers. That's a great channel that you guys can go to. Also, I want to put artists onto another great educational resource. This was my third thing in artists educating themselves to not fall into this other artist bracket. Here's a great business by an artist by the name of Mickey Shiloh on Instagram, Mickey Shiloh. But she has a business called Hard Drive that she created. I'm going to play something real quick.
As an artist looking to make it in the music industry, you don't need to sign to a major label.
That's a fact.
Trust us, we've created a better way. Enter Hard Drive, the world's first community-based record label and software with all the tools and support you need to succeed in your career. From global music distribution and a crazy beat library to custom artwork, video graphics, mixing and mastering, and community events.
See, that's literally a great option for artists to utilize. There are educational resources now like there's never been. There's two types of artists, like there's two types of producers. Lazy artists and proactive artists that try to get education. Lazy producers and proactive producers that try to get education. You have to figure out what bracket you fit in. So I'm here to have a conversation with artists and producers. All artists are not allergic to buying beats. Some want to build relationships. There are some artists who are saying, forget that, I'm going to do it till I blow up. Understand, to that artist who's allergic to wanting to buy beats and is stealing. Let me give you a hard scenario. Pause. Let me give you a real scenario. Let's say you blow up. Right? Let's say you blow up, right? Let's say you blow up and you stole 20 producers' beats and you go to a music conference or you go to a concert or you're backstage. You know you might bump into one of them producers, right? And it might go bad for you. I'm just going to say that right now. You know you might bump into one of those producers, right? It's an unhealthy strategy. Now let's talk about business. Artists, let's say you said, forget producers, I'm going to steal that beat, wait till I blow up. When you blow up, the record label you're trying to do business with is going to say, hey, I love your track, I love your body of work, send me over the licenses and paperwork so we can just put your back catalog on our label. You stole all those beats. Do you understand that you're going to be a fiscal liability to the label that you signed with or the production company that you signed with because you stole a whole bunch of people's intellectual property? Last example, last not least, artists who think that stealing beats is cool from producers. Relationships in this business is everything. And the producer who you think is not going to blow up, they blow up. It's going to kill your opportunity in the future of doing business with the producers. And here's the thing that a lot of artists don't understand. And again, this is not an anti-artist conversation. This is only towards that small percentile of artists who think it's cool to steal beats from producers. Let's say you made a living off of just stealing beats of producers and you blow up. When you get into these studios, when you get into these rooms, every producer has a list of artists that really mess with them. And if that producer says, I don't mess with that artist, they stole my beat when I was on a come up and I really needed to pay my rent. That's going to destroy your collab opportunities. That's going to destroy your touring opportunities. Again, bad business attracts bad business for producers. Now, on the flip side, to the producers that steal beats from other producers to sell them, you face the same business ramifications. Now, if you're only about getting the bag, as DC and Daysun said earlier, you're going to get the bag. But then when producers who properly handle their business have their YouTube content ID or use BeatStar's content ID and have that information, all your funds are going to get snatched away by the smart producer who has their stuff. So I'm just saying, artists who are allergic to buying beats, for the sake of your business and the sake of not getting sued, get your paperwork in order. If you stole beats, Listen, go back to the producer, pay them, get the exclusive if you want to push that product. Producers, if you're getting tired of having your beat stolen, and here's the thing to all producers, I'm going to put out there, every producer watching this, if you have your beat on the internet, your beat is most likely going to get taken or utilized without your permission, but you need to have the right coverage, and that's your responsibility. Artists have a responsibility business-wise, producers have a responsibility business-wise. This is not a one-sided conversation. Producers are at fault by having bad business and not reaching out to artists and develop a relationship, the same way artists are at fault for not having bad business and not reaching out to the producers. But we are here to work together. That's what this show is about. I said a lot, fellas. You want to say something before I bring one more solution to artists and producers? Anybody?
Nah, I think you hit the points right there. You know, it's basically just making sure you have your business right, you know, as well as keeping yourself in the community, keep yourself abreast of how you can make money as a producer, how you can protect your music, and also, you know, establishing relationships. All this is a relationship business, you know, but at the same time, you know, this is a dog business, so you got to really protect yourself, you know. So, and then, you know, it's about reputation. You know, it's dang. If you have a good reputation, a lot of people will want to work with you. If you got a bad reputation, I've heard a lot of stories about people not wanting to work with certain artists because of their reputation.
DC?
And what I'm gonna say, I'm gonna give you I'm gonna give them those artists and producers that's the producers that steal beats and the artists that steal beats. I'm gonna give you some manhood, life, one-on-one lessons. Let me just break it, just gonna keep it real. Friends come and go, but enemies accumulate. And you need to understand, that that's not to your advantage to operate accumulating enemies. Because our life always has that life roller coaster. There are ebbs and flows. And I mean, some people will wait till you down and you need it, and that's when they'll strike. So I want you to remember, if you don't hear nothing else I said today, why I would say that's not wise. It's because friends come and go, but enemies accumulate.
That's a fact. Now let me say this. Let me add a solution to producers to protect themselves so everybody can be knowledgeable. It's from one of my favorite content creators, DJ Payne 1. Everybody subscribe to DJ Payne 1's YouTube channel. And I'm most definitely always going to highlight content creators who give value to the production community or just any community in general that give value. And I think he has valuable information for producers. Check it out.
If you sell beats online, sometimes people try to scam you into buying beats and not paying for them by abusing the PayPal chargeback system. Someone will buy a beat from you and then report it as an unauthorized transaction to their bank. PayPal will then refund that money out of your account and then charge you an additional chargeback fee. So you really get screwed. This is what I learned from BeatStars, and this actually has worked for me. The second I get a chargeback, I print out the customer's receipt, put it in an envelope, write down the name and the address from the beat receipt on the envelope and take it to the post office. Then at the post office, I ask them to send the letter as certified mail and give me a tracking number. It costs a little under $5. I get the tracking number with the receipt, and you can write off these shipping fees on your taxes. And then I enter the tracking number into PayPal, thereby forcing PayPal to treat my beat as not a digital product, but a physical product, and fulfilling their seller protection requirements. And that's allowed me to win these cases. It does take time, it does take a little bit of money, but if something like this does happen to you, this is how you protect yourself.
This is why I am telling artists and producers to follow DJ Payne 1, because there's value in the conversation of handling your business. And also he has some fire beats. Let's talk about that. But he's helped me see things. He's works at the Music Entrepreneurs Club. You guys should join it. Producers and things of that nature should join it. This is about business. For any troll that will come in this video and say, oh my God, you guys are too old. Y'all ain't with it. Y'all ain't relevant. Everybody knows somebody. The OG you dissed today has YGs around him that you never know who's who. That's number one. Number two, I'm going to say it again. Every industry is small. And there's tiers to every industry. There's a lower tier, there's a mid tier, there's a high tier. You don't know, artists and producers, you really have no idea who you are stealing from. You never know. To the producers that still beats from other producers, there will be a legal reckoning. To the artists that still beats from producers, if the producer has his stuff in order, there's going to be a legal reckoning. This is about conversation. If you have a conversation, artist, you want to add to this conversation, please put it in the comments. If you producers, maybe you disagree with what we're saying, put at least constructive conversation in the comments so we can build to this. To the rest of all of us other producers, we need to start having more dialogue and collabing with each other to get better at business, to get better at understanding relationships, to get better at building bridges, because Civil Days can literally say, you know what, I'm going to release a beat tape next month. It can go viral on commercials, Pepsi commercials. That's one thing I want to tell producers out there. Every beat is a lottery ticket. You never know who's gonna blow, what beat is gonna blow. And since we're in that type of static industry right now where an artist can blow up, you never know. That's why you don't burn bridges with artists. Even if you think they are trash, what you think is trash ain't trash to somebody overseas. Let me talk about that. Producers, the beat that you think is trash is not trash to somebody in another country or another state or another city. All the beats that I've sold through my BeatStars page have been mostly sold from overseas artists. I thought that beat was trash. Producers, I'm begging y'all, post all your beats for sale in your beat store. You never know. Your next 12 months of rent can be in the beat that you think is trash. I don't like that snare. Oh my God, I don't like the way that 808 dropped. Just because you don't like it don't mean somebody want to buy it. And I'm veering off, I'll just say this. Artists, all artists, producers are not against you. Producers, stop treating the artists like they're your enemy. And I'm going to give some free game right now. For all those who don't know, I do social media consultation. I want to get into the services that Civil Days utilizes and DC Carson utilizes. I want you to highlight the resources that these three brands offer. For me, let me get to mine, and I'm going to share 5 tips for producers to really step up their content game. Because I'm sorry, to the producers that think they don't need social media, you are lying to yourself. And I'm going to share some game, you know what I'm saying, from my page. You can go to my link in bio if you need these services. And let me just share this out right quick. Just share this some games to you guys. You can go to my link in bio and get social media services. I do consultations. Let me help you. Producers, here's some great content ideas you can do if you really want to take your business seriously in terms of putting yourself out in social media and creating a content strategy. Number one and most important, have your universal imaging on all your social media pages. For instance, right now on social media, people know me as Khalif Wins, the content creator and content show producer, and I have different shows. Great. Nobody knows me on the internet as a producer. I have a separate side of that launching out to show my production side, but this is what I love doing more so, content creation. But if I was producing hardcore again, I would say number one, my Instagram, my Facebook, my TikTok, my YouTube, and any of the social media pages, I have the same theme across all those pages. That's number one. Number two, have a professional link in bio that when somebody says, ooh, I like the beat they played on TikTok, or ooh, I like the beat they played on Facebook, when they click on your link in bio, they can see your services. They can see your beat store. They can see, I guess, the first 3 link tree beats, link trees or links to those beats that you have for your last beats posted on your page, and they have an email location where you can build your artist email list. Have your business in order. A third content tip for you guys, most definitely third content tip when it comes to this. Start posting content daily. I'm sorry. If you are producing, you really want to sell beats and make a living off of selling beats, or even if you want to improve your branding, artists need to see, is that his beat? Show yourself, number one, great strategy. Show yourself making your product. You don't believe me? You think I'm capping? Every restaurant in New York City that really is about getting customers, they have an Instagram page or a TikTok page. And what does every restaurant do? They either show the process in the kitchen or they show the food going to the table. Producers, why aren't you showing the process in your kitchen and show the finished product? That's number one. Show your skill. Second content strategy for producers really trying to highlight themselves out of everything I've just said. You gotta have beat plays and show your product. What do I mean? Here's a great idea for producers, a freebie. Why don't you just rent out a studio once a month, right? Why don't you just invite all the artists or just some artists to your session and just have a beat listening party? You have a 2-hour beat listening party paying a rental fee at a studio once a month. You take that 2 hours and splice up the content and post it throughout the month so it can lead to your link in bio. Come on, artists. If you need social media strategy services, holler at me, link in bio. I will spend time on the phone with you and create a strategy. Here's another content strategy for producers. You got to look at every month of your business as a business month. If I was selling t-shirts online, or if I was selling cupcakes or whatever, I got to say, okay, for the month of April, there's 20 weekdays in a month. In 20 weekdays, how can I show artists my skill? How can I show artists what my beats are like? And how can I present my product to customers I want to build a relationship with? The internet is out of sight, out of mind. But if you plan out your months in like by monthly intervals, a month is 4 weeks, five weekdays out of the 4 week. Producers, if you really take your production, beat selling, or product selling process seriously, show them what you do, show them, you know, your product, and let them listen to it. And also, producers, this is the last content strategy tip I'm going to give you guys. Show artists your personality. I'm not saying be a goofball. I'm not saying try to be a comedian. If you aren't funny, stop trying to be funny. But if you are a producer, artists want to not only hear your beats, they want to see if they're fired. They want to see you make the beats, but they also want to see the person that they're about to DM about the beat and if that person is professional. You literally should have your personality, who your customer is about to deal with. Here's an example. If you went to a restaurant, you saw a restaurant's page, and you're like, ooh, I like their food, like producers. Ooh, I like their beat. If you go to a restaurant's page, it's like, ooh, I like their chefs, what they do in the kitchen, like a producer's page. Ooh, he whipped up, that'd be great. But if you went to a restaurant's Instagram or TikTok page and the owner is a goofball and he's silly and unprofessional, are you likely to eat at that place? No. No matter how much the food looks great, if there's unprofessionalism at the back of the house, nobody's eating in there, because if they're unprofessional on the internet, they're unprofessional in person. Producers, show your business personality and be yourself. Stop trying to be like everybody on TikTok. Stop trying to be like everybody else. You got to understand, you are literally selling yourself. You are selling yourself. I'll give you an example. When it comes to me being a content creator, I'm on all platforms. Khalif Wins, Morning Motivation Show, Making Better Track Show. I have videos for different content. I'm a content creator. But if I decided tomorrow, I'm just going to go full hard and making beats and selling beats and stuff like that instead of doing content strategy. Do you understand that every time people get on their phone and look through the algorithm, they're going to see me make beats, they're going to see me in my true personality, being a professional, building relationships with artists, and then they're going to see my work. If you're not giving the opportunity to artists to see your work, see how you make it, see your personality, and find out about you, you're not going to attract nothing. I've said a lot, fellas. On the backdrop, what would you want to say towards that or add to that? Hello?
I think you said it all. I think you said it all. Great strategies, great strategies. I don't have too much to add to that. Just protect yourself and have relationships. I love DJ Payne One's information that he provides. Another great website is Content Creators Producer Grind.
Yes, Producer Grind is great value.
Content as well. It's a lot of brand man. He talks about how you brand yourself and things of that nature. It's two other guys, I just can't remember their name right now. They really talk about understanding your rights, understanding how to protect yourself, and how you make yourself into a business, as far as how you turn your music production into a business, and once you're a business, how to operate like a business, and how to protect yourself and put yourself out there independently. There's DistroKid, TuneCore. If you understand contracts and splits and things of that nature, or if you understand, BMI, putting your information in BMI or ASCAP, that's a good way to protect yourself. Or you can at least say, this is my music when it does come time for when someone uses your music. So, we have the book, Things You Need to Know About Music. Back in
Donald
the day,
Passman. Donald Passman. You better say that. Donald Passman. King Passman. Go ahead.
I still have that on my shelf. I have Kashif's book, who's on my shelf.
Wow, Kashif. I haven't heard that in 10 years. That was a fire book too.
I know. So, it's and I went and I got the updated one. for the Donald Passerman's book. It's just keeping yourself abreast and making sure that you protect yourself. It's not just about getting on making a beat. You got to protect yourself. That's it from my end.
And what I say is that something like when I was flying helicopters, or let's say, for example, in the military, or example, we were planning a mission, and there's what call a 1/3, 2/3. And, part of that is you're planning. And so you're planning and then execution, 2/3 planning, you 1/3 execute, that kind of stuff. So I'm going to put that in here is that, I've got a video up on Instagram where it showed me painting. And my point being is that as a producer, you're all the above. We can pause the artist aspect on it. But even though it's true for you too, it's all the above. It's that 1/3 of what I do is creating the music. 2/3 of what I do is not creating music. It is talking, people like Frank and Daysun. It is studying. It is educating. I mean, some people say, like I listen to people say, well, I went off of school. I ain't off of college. Well, let me tell you something. This is a master's class. You will take master's type subjects in there because some of the stuff like for accounting and stuff, there are codes for accounting. How do you know what's going where? I always sit back and tell folks, let's say when they said they was going to win the lottery, and they would say, I'm just going to still stay here working this. And they were saying, I got 300 million. I said, do you know what it's like to manage 300 million? How do you track it? If you got that house in Miami and something breaks, who authorizes the payment for a TV? Or let's say the pipe or the plumber or stuff like that. Same with a producer. You can't just have time while making beats, because now I might have to go audit somebody's book. I might have to go dig in and see what somebody is actually up to versus and I might have to audit the auditor. Mainly being to a point is that all that stuff makes sense. People make it seem like as producers that you drop a beat, then you go to a club and you walk out with 20 women, and that's the way it is. That is not necessarily what you do. You are definitely, because if the more time you spend in that type of stuff and not watching your money and not maintaining your brand, which is really important, that you lose it. If you listen to all kind of stories of producers as well as artists, it was money management that causes them to lose. Money management and not managing their brand. Somebody let them do any and everything, and they lost it. So that's what I'm sitting there saying is that develop you a good battle rhythm, what I call it, of stuff you got to do. I spend time talking to Frank. I spend time doing the administrative stuff. I talk to attorneys, that kind of stuff, and just develop that because that's part of it. And eventually get to a flow where like you're protecting your assets. It is a business, and you can enjoy the fun of the music.
Thanks for sharing, both of you. Here's my closing statements for the show. And I most definitely want you both to talk more about the resources you provide. You know me, I'm just going to push until they understand who Civil Days Music is, who Dccarsonmusic is. So think about that as I'm saying this, because I want you to push your resources, because a lot of artists need to utilize your resources as well as producers. Here's my closing statement of the show. I'm going to start with artists. Number one, we all understand, and producers who have common sense all understand, that this small population of artists who believe that stealing beats from producers is cool is not all artists. Number one. If you're the artist who are saying, I'm trying to build better relationships with producers, subscribe to these two young brothers' channels, subscribe to DJ Payne 1 and everybody that was suggested here so you can understand the producer's mindset. That's number one. Number two, artists, hey, if you like a certain producer's beats, create a list of email addresses of producers who you really mess with. Because if I was an artist and I'm trying to come out with a singles and I'm trying to knock it out, there's 9 months left in a year, I'm like, oh, there's 9 months. 9 times 4, part of my math, is 36. I hope my math is right, but 36 weeks. If you have 36 weeks and you're saying, I mess with 10 producers heavy, build relationship with these producers and just get leases. I know me from my old beat store, the person can just promote their music to a certain amount of length with the lease. Invest in the producers. You build relationships, have conversations, build relationships. To artists who don't like the artists who steal beats, guess what? Don't pay attention to people that's doing bad business. You'll be fine. Now, my closing statement for producers. Let's start with the producers who steal beats from other producers, steal their loops, take their stuff off their beat store and try to sell it as their own. Relationships are everything, and it's going to bite you financially, or because I'm from New York, or worse, in another studio session. Watch what bridge you burn. Now, to artists and producers in general, I wanted to see artists and producers comments in the comments having this discussion, because you never know who DC Carson Music is going to be in 3 years. You never know who Civil Days Music is going to be in 3 years. And you never know who Khalif Wins is going to be in 3 years, you heard? Let's share information. Let's learn from this information. Let's grow. Let me hear your feedback in the comments about this issue, but only so we can get better. And producing artists, we all have free resources to educate ourselves. I think Daysun touched on this and DC touched on this. Every PRO, Performance Rights Organization, has a blog. BMI, CSAC, ASCAP. Artists and producers, educate yourself. Hard Drive, the site that I showed from Mickey Shiloh, great resource. TuneCore just implemented splits. What a split means to the artists and producers. Let's say producers, you want to do a collab beat tape, 2 producers. Oh yeah, I'm gonna put my stuff on all streaming services. You can do your splits right there. Go to TuneCore blog and educate yourself, artists and producers. Go to DistroKid's blog and educate yourself, artists and producers. In this internet age and information age, artists and producers, everybody, even us, should not be ignorant because the information is there. But here's the last thing I'll say. The reason why artists and producers get jerked is because people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. And if the knowledge is on the internet and all you got to do is put in the work, then you'll be fine. Oh, I'm capping? Oh, I'm lying? Really? There are blogs that some artists and producers spend more time on than others. Artists and producers, think about it. What are the YouTube channels that you spend all the time on, right? You're trying to educate yourself on those YouTube channels that you want to spend time on. Why are artists and producers spending more time on their career and learning more than wasting their time on other people's channels? I'm going to close it there, but I want to give the two young brothers an opportunity to tell the people about the resources that they provide. Mind you, I put links to their channels, to their ecosystem in the description. I'm going to let y'all start off. Daysun, you can start it off.
All right, everybody. Y'all can check me out on YouTube, Civil Days Music. You know, I talk about production. You know, I talk about things like song structure. Eventually, I'm going to get into like how you can protect your music and things of that nature. But it's, you know, how you can master your gear, as well as, you know, I try to entertain a little bit. You know, I have a series that's called Things You Didn't Know About Music. We also do like beat remakes, you know, but it's from the perspective of learning a producer so that you can learn like how DJ Premier samples, maybe you can add that to your bag. Learn how Dilla samples, add that to your bag. Learn how Bink samples, add that to your bag so that you can use their tips and tools to create your own style. On TikTok, Civil Days Music. On Instagram, Civil Days Music, at Civil Days Music. I got some sample packs on Gumroad. Look up cdmesd.com. cdmesd.com, or just look up those.
Real quick, sorry to cut you off. For everybody, I'm updating the description so those links will be in it. This is a live stream, right? For those just coming in, this is a live stream. I will update every link from everything that they said so you guys can go into the ecosystem and get the tools you need. I'll say this before I pass it back to him. Do you see what Daysun just said? If you're a producer, if you're an MMA fighter, you go to a striking coach, you go to a wrestling coach, you go to a grappling coach, and you go to a jiu-jitsu coach to be the best fighter you can be. Producers, you see the resources that Daysun is providing? Dilla styles, learn styles of beats, learn styles of machines. He's a resource. That's it. I'm sorry. Continue.
No, that's cool. That's cool. And also you can find me on Facebook, Daysun Beats, DAYSUNBEATS. I know everything should be under one name, but still. And that's pretty much it for me. Y'all, I hope this is beneficial to y'all. And I'm going to pass it to my man, DC.
Appreciate that, Daysun. Now, you can find me at DC Carson Music on Facebook. It's a Facebook page.
Links in description. Go ahead.
As well as IG. And again, YouTube videos to come. What you're going to get with me is that you're going to get someone who has industry experience, but you're also going to get someone that has leadership experience for over 25 years in the military. just training leaders, developing leaders, even have taught ROTC, that kind of stuff. So you're going to get that kind of stuff. You're going to get stuff about gear, old school type of stuff. You're going to look at new school type of stuff. And what I think, you're going to look at, I'm going to discuss processes. I might put out there a book I'm reading that will help you, because I'm real into the headspace stuff, because this is where you win. I mean, it's clearly this is where you win, and I help show you how to win. And then as far as life stuff, like you may see me working on it, be up under a BMW, fixing a transmission, or smoking a turkey leg, or stuff like that, or just doing nothing, because that's important sometimes to do that kind of resilience, woosah, taking care. So you're going to get a lot of stuff. And what I would say I would say to every producer, every artist, heck, every person, subscribe to my channel because of the resources, because what it's going to give you is life. It's going to give you away from everybody that's doing stuff to chase clout, that's doing stuff just to get attention. It's going to give you stuff that makes you think, because unfortunately, when a lot of these things, people will give you, I'm basically like this. There's a lot of people that will tell you what you want to hear, which is a confirmation bias. Me, I am not going to tell you the comfortable lie. I'm going to sometimes deal with the uncomfortable truth. But all of that is to create a better person, a better producer, again, a better human experience. So I encourage you to follow me. I encourage you to follow Daysun. Absolutely awesome. Follow Frank. All of y'all that are trying to figure this stuff out as far as music. I'm going to tell you right now, if I was a young producer or artist, I'm calling Frank for my content.
Also known as Khalif Wins. Sorry.
And I'm calling an attorney. I'm finding an attorney, and I actually follow Delate Lawyer on IG because she gives good stuff. But anyway, follow, like, and if you got any questions, stuff like that, shoot something in my DM. And I appreciate y'all. I appreciate you, Frank, for having me on the show.
No problem. No, listen, I appreciate y'all. Producers, did you hear what DC Carson said? The reason I like talking to him on the phone, because I'm a strategic thinker, and he has 20 years of military experience, and he's a musician. I learned from him from the musician standpoint. I learned from him from the vintage gear workflow standpoint. This man literally had me on the phone and had the MPC 3000 and then had the SB 404, and he's hitting the drum. I didn't see the machines at first. I'm like, man, that MPC 3000 is knocking. He says, no, that's the SB 404. You see the filters, and then he got into the conversation with the filters. This is an example of the resources of DC that I'm talking about. So producers and artists, please follow him. Last reason you should follow him, there's many other reasons, but the headspace thing. Without your mindset, and thank you, Takia Howard. I got a comment right here. Takia Howard says, that was the truth. Bullying others and not yourself. That's a fact. What's going on, sis? So I'm saying many reasons to follow him. Headspace is an important thing. Like he says, it starts here. As producers, we get caught up all up in the gear talking, caught up all up in the, I need this effects. If you don't got your mind right, you ain't got your grind right. If you ain't got your mind right, you ain't got your grind right. That's why I like talking to Dccarsonmusic. Civil Days, again, I'll say it again. I was on the fence about buying the Machine Plus. I'm an MPC owner. His frank and blunt conversation and honest real time, if the gear was in front of my face usage, that's what his content brings to me. And the fact that he's teaching technique, here it is, I'll do it better. Technique, strategy. Technique, strategy, again, resources. Again, when it comes to me, if you need content strategy, a social media strategy session, book your session with Khalif Wins, link in bio, you heard? Because again, everybody swears that they know everything about social media. Here's the trick. Tech is evolving every 3 months. After 3 months, if you don't study up, nobody knows anything. But if you want a strategy, a content strategy producers to promote your product, a content strategy artist to promote your product, book a session. You heard the little bit that I said in this video. Can you imagine an hour with me? And guess what? At the end of my strategy sessions, I send you a PDF of everything I wrote down while we were talking. So you can have a chart and a guide. But just so everybody to know, and I want you two to stay on after this over, thank you for coming to the Making Better Track Show. You know the vibes. I'm your host, Khalif Wins. Everybody follow Civil Days Music. Everybody follow Dccarsonmusic. Thanks for being here. If you have some comments, artists, please drop your comments. Producers, please drop your comments. Subscribe to my channel. Subscribe to their 2 channels. Let's grow. Let's build. Let's keep it real. Thanks, fellas, for joining the show. Have a great day.